Science can't prove there isn't a spiritual basis for existence. Even science has to admit that there's a possibility of there being a non-physical basis for reality as we observe it. Recent discoveries by quantum physicists tend to reject the idea that human sense observations provide the real truth about objective reality. No, they seem to point to the fact that reality is quite different from what humans can sense, and needs to be described through mathematical descriptions that are becoming increasingly removed from physical observation. In physics, it is now common to speak of many space-times, or to define space-time as a 10 or 11-dimensional reality that dissolves into a sort of topological foam at the very small measurements below the Planck length. Modern physicists speak of realities that are beyond space-time, such as quantum fluctuations in a vacuum from which space-time as we see it seems to originate. And some physicists even view consciousness as an important element of reality, a required basis for the physical existence as we know it. It is untrue that modern physics rules out the possibility of non-physical entities, values, or events. In fact, there are important new theories and facts being discovered lately that tend to imply that there is much more going on in the universe than meets the eye. Now we'll look at some of these recent discoveries and theories as we attempt to bring all these facts and versions of spiritual beliefs into one unified whole right here before your very eyes. But first, we need to know a few definitions to get things clear. We will start with spirits and the possibility waves of entities, which could be called intelligences, and the big daddy of them all. Who or what is God? According to modern LDS teachings, all things physical were first created spiritually. They came to exist as a form of spirit bodies, and these spirits came from existing intelligences that always were. So what are the spirit bodies just mentioned? A modern-day prophet taught us there is no such thing as immaterial matter. All spirit is matter, but it is more fine or pure and can only be discerned by purer eyes. We cannot see it, and when our bodies are purified, we shall see that it is all matter. Now exactly what that means is not clear, but the LDS teachers explain that the spirit of man is in the likeness of his person. The spirit looks a lot like the physical person, and that spirits are also capable of intellectual advancement and memory and certain feelings, but not the really earthy body feelings, but the more intellectual feelings like love and hate and sorrow and happiness and obedience and disobedience, as well as many other personal characteristics. Now, what is the likelihood that there is a spiritual existence as mentioned above? Well, consider Stephen Hawking's explanation of dark matter as possibly a shadow galaxy, offset from our physical galaxy, just a minor amount, but on a different membrane, in a different dimension. We wouldn't be able to see the shadow galaxy as light doesn't go from one membrane to the other, but there are gravitational effects. The shadow galaxy would be detected as a form of dark matter. We'll go into this possible explanation later. But for now, scientifically, you'll have to accept the possibility that there is a spiritual plane, or membrane, or as the cosmologists call it, brain. that could be somewhat similar to our physical plane, with planets and even perhaps creatures or people that can't physically interact with our plane of existence. It could be. We need to explore how this idea fits into the overall explanation of existence as it is, or it appears to be. A Latter-day Prophet also taught that there have always existed intelligences from the beginning with God, and that such matter was eternal and coexistent with God. But sometime after the initial creation of the universe, it was organized into spiritual bodies by our Heavenly Father. We will look at these intelligences a little bit later. So who or what is God? Well, we know from latter-day revelation who God is. It is the key point of understanding overall truth. If there is no God, or if you can't understand God, then you can't know what His purpose is, and you can't know the truth of why you exist. And if you don't know why you exist, or why you should do any one thing as opposed to another, then there is no reason to do anything. Just eat and drink and be merry, because that's all it is. There is nothing else. If there is no overall reason, then any reason is as good as the next one. It is important to know the truth. Otherwise, you'll be like a ship with no rudder and will be blown about by every different wind of doctrine. Even if there is an ultimate truth, if you can't discover it, you will likely lead your life based on falsehood. But you can find out what truth is by following the steps outlined in the section of my book on truth, where we investigate all known methods of discovering truth. But of course, that's in the book, not contained here in this video. But back to who is God? Many define God as the infinite personal being who has created the universe, saying that God has the power to intervene in human affairs, that He is an active, all-powerful force who is motivated by a limitless love and tempered by justice, and who has all knowledge and infinite wisdom. God is truth. God is an infinite, eternal, uncreated, omnipotent person. Now, there's nothing wrong with this definition. It could use a bit more concrete facts, but it will suffice to get our explanation on the creation of universes going. Opposed to the above definition is the more Eastern mystical belief that God is utterly and totally transcategorical. God is indescribable, beyond all being and knowledge. God, the ultimate one, is not soul or mind, nor does it possess imagination, conviction, speech, or understanding. It cannot be grasped by understanding. It does not live, nor is it life. It is not a substance, nor is it eternity or time. God is the first cause. Some others teach a sort of merging of the personal God, as seen in Christianity, with the indescribable God of the Eastern mystical concept, saying that the indescribable God becomes a personable or knowable God through His worshippers. The worshippers see Him as a person due to their limited minds and due to their incomplete understanding. And since He is everything and nothing, He is also then a person, because that is how humankind see Him. If there were no creation to be conscious of Him, He would remain the undescribable God of everything and nothing at all.